Welcome to Baja TT Rota do Douro, the first round of the Portuguese Off-Road Championship and of the Iberian Cup had the beautiful Douro landscapes as background. Valongo, Vila Nova de Gaia and Amarante were the towns chosen to welcome this opening round. The competition started with qualifying 1 and 2 in Valongo that would determine the next day's starting grid. A stage with about 5.5 kilometers each, with a total of 11 kilometers. Miguel Barbosa was the first one to go on the track. He made a cautious start, but quickly managed to show that he was here to repeat the first place of 2015. In qualifying first, the driver stayed strong and ended up with 4 minutes and 43 seconds. That meant that the next drivers had to be even stronger. Nuno Matos arrived here to revenge the title that he lost in Porto Alegre in 2015. The drivers started really well, secured that the main thing was to finish, so he remained calm, but he focused on the win. He finished the first qualifying with just 10 seconds to Miguel Barbosa. João Ramos immediately showed that he wasn't here for sightseeing. He was resilient and secure from the start, with the certainty that we wanted to take the victory. In 4 minutes and 41 seconds in the first qualifying, João Ramos overtook Barbosa with only 2 seconds between both of them. But the second qualifying would decide which one would go first on the second day. Also highlight for Lino Carapeta, who was riding his usual bowler. The driver was the 4th best, which meant he was 4th to start on the next day. Next was Rui Souza with his Isuzu D-Max. He was 5th in the combine classification. We have to highlight Alessandro Franco. We can see that he was strong. He made improvements in the setup of his BMW Series 1 Proto that proved to be and added value. Alessandro Franco was really close to Miguel Barbosa, but the final jump in the first qualifying proved to be destructive. Stay with us. We'll tell you why the Franco brothers crashed. Pedro Valério, Pedro Oliveira, João Rosa, Paulo Marques, Avelino Reis and Américo Santos were competing for the T8 category. On both qualifying, Avelino Reis, with Miguel Marques by his side, placed the Toyota RAV4 in 3rd, with 5 minutes and 27 seconds. Followed by Paulo Marques. The driver hadn't raced in the Portuguese Off-Road Championship since 2006. He returned with a 6th place overall, 2nd between T8. In third place was Americo Santos. On the first round, we had some problems, but we exceeded Tiago Reis and we lost a few seconds, and now, well, was much better. This one's much better. The ground's also much better, and so we avoided the mistakes which we made in the first round. I think we made a better time now. This one was much better than the first one. We had more trust now. The ground's dry now, and so we did what we had to do. Let's take a look at T2 category, with only 2 teams on the starting grid, with the drivers Cesar Sequeira and Luis Ferreira, who would show an intense fight. In the qualifying combined classification, there were only a few seconds between them, but Isuzu D-Max won both rounds. It's now time to see the Alessandro Franco accident. The driver was as strong as he was fast, coming close to Miguel Barbosa. But a mischance right at the end made Franco's car crash. It was an alarming accident in a place with a water-filled ditch. The car lost control, was thrown and overturned, which left the BMW Series 1 in a really bad condition, as we can see. The driver made an important effort not to harm the spectators. We had a bad turn. I tried not to use the engine to see if the car could handle it, but in fact we crashed. We hit a hill on the right side and the car flew off without any chances to correct the mistake, so it's over for us. It's over. It's over. The car's really bad, as you can see. These things happen in races. Today was a bad day. Will you try to race in other races? Yes, we will. We'll have to evaluate the damage. We don't have that much time, so we'll try to do our best. We won't give up. Alessandro Franco was out of the Baja TT Rota de Douro, but he hoped to be able to return to the championship. The best in both qualifying was João Ramos. Miguel Barbosa finished second place. The Mitsubishi Racing Lancer driver made the second best time in both rounds. This means on the next day, Ramos is the first to go on the road with an advantage of 5.7 seconds. Nuno Matos was third with 25.5 seconds from João Ramos, despite a gearshift problem in his Opel Mokka Proto. It was good. Today's the day to decide who starts in the first place tomorrow. As we're not going to have any dust on the ground, it was really important not to make any mistakes today. This is the first stage of the championship. It was really good, but there's more tomorrow. It was really good. In this round, the ground was much drier. I thought we would have more rain, so we chose a soft setup, but it's okay. 2 good rounds. I'm happy with it. Really good. We didn't have any problems in either round. We finished in first place. We won the qualifying section.
Já sei, terminamos em primeiro, vencemos o prólogo neste momento.
With about 150 kilometers, with sections through Travanca-Mont, Carvalho Rei and Amarante, the second stage was expected to be full of competition. At this point, there were only 13 cars from the 20 registered. This run started in Travanca-Mont. João Ramos was ready to strike and had sharply defined strategies. Lino Carapeta hesitated, mostly because the weather was unstable. But before the 40 kilometers of the first stage, we could no longer see the driver, Lino Carapeta. A mechanical failure that had been restored days before made the bowler driver leave the competition. National champion in T8, Alessandro Motta, made the leap to T1 category. He started the second day of the competition in 12th place. The driver wanted to show how strong he was, but the Nissan Proto wasn't behaving the way he wanted. With a calm rhythm at the service stop, he wasn't happy. The debut's not going that well. The ground's really bad, slippery. It's not only for me, for all the other drivers as well. There's parts of the section where we're going at about 20 kilometers per hour because it's not possible to do more, and still it's difficult to control the car. This is Rui Sousa, who was another surprise. Also discussing the Iberian Cup, this driver started strong this season. To prove that, he was the man responsible for all the big turns in this Baja. He was safe and confident, a usual attitude from this particular driver. As soon as Lino Carapeta stayed behind, the team that drives the Isuzu D-Max made all the effort to stand out in the first 56 kilometers. Here, he was in 4th place. At 98 kilometers, he didn't let that place go away. Although the tough stages, Rui Sousa comes in 4th in the service park. He's 8 minutes from the leadership. Plot twists in this first section with the 3 main drivers. We can see Miguel Barbosa pulling out all the stops. The driver wanted to get another win and gain more points for the championship. But the ground was difficult and the weather was unstable. In the first 56 kilometers, the Mitsubishi Racing Lancer driver reaches the leadership, 27 ahead of Nuno Matos. The Opel Mokka driver was having trouble with his car, so he started going down in the charts. Immediately behind him, João Ramos, who began to have problems in his Toyota Hilux and was already 1 minute and 24 seconds behind. Here is Nuno Matos, the protagonist of another twist. At 98 kilometers, the driver was in the lead, more than 1 minute ahead of Miguel Barbosa. João Ramos goes behind with 1 minute and 35, far from the Opel Mokka Proto driver. In the pit stop, and after 145 kilometers, Nuno Matos was in the lead. Miguel Barbosa was 28 seconds behind, with João Ramos at 1 minute and 34 seconds. Ice, fog, rain, mud, lots of water. The perfect ingredients for a true off-road show. The competitions had lots of car debuts. Let's start with the 2015 rookie in the Off-Road Championship. Pedro Ferreira comes back to off-road in 2016 with a 4-wheel machine. He leaves his 2-wheel drive De Pierres and now drives a brand new Amarok. But soon the car showed problems. In qualifying, he lost his handbrake. The tires we chose were not the best ones. No handbrakes, and we lost a lot of time in the main turn. I had to turn the car around, but it's the first time we've raced the car. We have to be happy. And the bad luck didn't end up there. The second day, he had problems with assisted steering and broke the wheeling cube. This forced the driver to give up. Note that the Amarok was only ready on the day the competition started. Another premier, Alexandra Mota's Nissan Proto. With an impressive design, he gave assurances that he would shine. But the slippery ground ended up dictating the weak performance of the car. That's completely different from what the driver is used to. Philippe Carvalho's Bowler Wildcat 200 represents another debut here in this off-road opening. Also with an amazing design, the driver's happy with the car's performance. It's an adventure, coming from T8 to T2 and T1. It's all faster than the others, and the precautions we have to take are more serious as well. Tiago Reis is debuting his Nissan Navara, but he got lost in the way of the qualifying. Now let's continue with the second section of the day in Amarant 2. The drivers have to complete 150 kilometers to end this competition. Tons of emotions and turnarounds. Stay with us to know who's going to win this opening round of the Portuguese Off-Road Championship. For the second stage of the day, only 9 cars now from the 20 that started on the day 1 lineup. The siniest stages made it difficult for the drivers to continue, so many of them dropped out. The round was so competitive that Nuno Matos lost time in the first 56 kilometers. With Felipe Serra by his side, the driver was the protagonist of an amazing ordeal. Being in 8th place, it was almost impossible for him to come back to the top. Rui Sousa was in 3rd place, Miguel Barbosa in the 2nd place, and João Ramos in 1st place. But anything can happen in the remaining kilometers. Nuno Matos lost his transmission and was only with a one-wheel drive, which wasn't easy for such a difficult stage. Philippe Carvalho was also part of this dramatic turn of events. The bowler driver was the one to help Nuno Matos going up the hill and also positions. But before the big ending, let's take a look at the T8 category. Only Avelino Reis and João Rosa remained in the exit for Sector 2. So, one of the biggest threats, Paulo Marques, was out. His Mitsubishi had transmission problems in Sector 1. In the end, João Rosa conquered the victory with Avelino Reis in 2nd place. Between the T2 category, the fight for the first victory of the season was harsh. Cesar Sequeira was a little unstable, and for a long time he was right behind the 11th place. But late morning he was 9th in overall classification, 2nd between T2. But the driver couldn't start the 2nd stage. Luis Ferreira controlled his Nissan Navara, since the driver only wants to score and make it to the end. He arrived in the first stop in 7th place and left for the final sector just to guarantee his winning. Overall, he was 7th and 1st between T2. In Section 2, the competition was even more exciting. Nuno Matos had to recover at least 6 places to conquer the podium. Even with problems in his Opel Mokka and various difficulties along the way, he was persistent and remained in the competition. When he was 2nd in the first 56 kilometers of Section 2, Miguel Barbosa started to have problems in his Mitsubishi Racing Lancer. On the second half of the competition, differential problems forced the driver to drop out of that stage. Once again, a dropout makes big changes in the overall classification. At the end of 145 kilometers, we see a completely different chart. Philippe Carvalho ended in 5th place. He was the one to help Nuno Matos. This is a stage with a debut for us in the main category, and with this car. We didn't know how to adapt to the car, so we did the first leg only to get to know the car better. The second leg we did with a bit more faith, but we had to help our colleagues. This is normal in off-road. For this year, we already have what we wish for. We now know the setup for the next stage. It's a natural evolution. The bowler driver was a big help to Nuno Matos. On the hill, the Opamoca driver was struggling. Felipe Carvalho stopped and pushed Nuno Matos' car up the hill, which allowed Nuno Matos to end in third place. We got stuck on a hill. The car couldn't climb because we'd only one tyre pushing it, and Felipe helped us and he pushed us up to the top of the hill. From there we could drive on our own, but we had loads of other hills and it was a real odyssey. If we'd had more hills like that, I'm sure the car couldn't have handled it. This third place was very good.
Tem sabor redobrado, sim.
The second place was a surprise. With a regular rhythm, the driver put his Isuzu D-Max in second place. During the afternoon, I was faster, but in a security mode. From the 50th kilometre, I had to keep my pace so as not to compromise the race. The big winner was João Ramos, that had a positive beginning for the championship. A comeback to the winnings for the driver that was the best in the second sector in Amarante. I started to attack from the very beginning. Soon I understood that I had a faster pace than the others. So step by step, I found out that I had a bigger advantage over the other drivers. And from that I realized that I only had to control my race. Do you think you have an advantage because Miguel Barbosa gave up? Well, it's like always. Other times Miguel Barbosa has benefited from my losses.
Mas na altura com o Toyota depois ficaram nos 3 primeiros lugares.
The organisation says that it was an intense competition with fantastic sport and emotions to exceed all expectations. We've always said that our main desire was to make this stage one of the most important rounds of the championship and in the north of the country, and we did a lot to make that happen. Step by step and year after year, we're getting better. The drivers did their best. We had a really difficult round, but it was a very interesting stage in terms of the sport. Lots of battles right until the end. And this was a very big event in Vila Nova de Gaia. The opening journey of the Portuguese Off-Road Championship comes to an end. The off-road emotions return from the 30th of April to the 1st of May with the second round.